Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. Real talk, big opinions, and fearless conversations. From the front lines of politics to the latest in pop culture. From breaking sports headlines to the stories that move the world. Nothing's off limits, and nobody's holding back. Arrington Gavin is here to break it down, build it up, and keep it all the way real. So turn it up, lean in, and let's get into it. This is the Arrington Gavin Show.
What is going on, my friends? Welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real, so please do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, on tonight's conversation, we're talking about one of the toughest paths in American politics. Running as a grassroots outsider in a system dominated by money, connections, and political machines. Our guest tonight is Democratic congressional candidate Kyle Gauck, a veteran, working class candidate trying to break through the establishment of Connecticut's 2nd Congressional District, from healthcare and immigration to veteran issues and political reform. He says Washington has stopped listening to everyday Americans. Well, I couldn't agree more with that, man, because the word of the year for me is transparency. And there's obviously been a lack of trust between Washington and the people, right? Folks, we're tired. We're exhausted. It's exhausting continuing to be told this time and time again. And yet we're still, back to the drawing board. We have elected officials that promise one thing, they are absent throughout their term, and then when it's time to run back for re-election, now look who showed up to the party. It gets old, my friends. It gets very old. But the big thing is, can an outsider candidate really compete in today's political climate? And is the Democratic Party making room for new voices or protecting the status quo? Well, tonight we're asking the fair, pressing, and important questions, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have Mr. Gauck on because, as you know, I've had the opportunity to interview candidates from all across, really in a bunch of states where there's big midterm elections happening, and we have a lot of newcomers, which I love to see because y'all know I kind of, my big mouth gets me in trouble. I get tired of seeing, folks in there, 85 and up, running for re-election saying, it's not their time yet. I still got more work to do and this, that, and the other. And it's funny because there'll be old clips coming back saying, when you first ran like in 91, doing the golden ages, no, I'm joking. Let me not. But there's folks that will say, I'm so against term limits, man, maybe 2 terms max for me. And then that was 30 years ago. And then they wonder why folks feel like, why even bother coming out and vote? Like here in my home state of Virginia, we have a low voting turnout. In my home city, low voting turnout. It's a shame that we continue to push for folks, letting them know, like I sound like a broken record. I always say, hey, your vote is your voice. If you want your voice to be heard, get out there and vote. But then they come with the kind of arguments on saying, well, look, we've been doing this time and time again, and we have not seen anything. I'm getting a bit impatient. I go to the gas station, and I'm paying an arm and a leg just for gas, and sometimes I gotta, bounce back between, medicine or grocery. I mean, it's unfortunate that living in the wealthiest country in the world, that we're always told we have these issues. So again, I'm excited to talk with Kyle Gauck and see what some of his issues. Why he decided to enter into this race, right? Because that's never an easy thing to do. Hell, I barely wanted to run for hall monitor when I was in school. So now it's like I see folks, running for Congress. Whew, man, I cannot wait. Before we bring on Mr. Gauck, I gotta thank you all, as always, for taking the time out of your busy schedule for tuning in to yet another great conversation here on this show. As you know, we drop new episodes weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, and of course, wherever you get your podcasts, iHeart, Spotify. We're available on all major podcast platforms. And also, shout out to our radio affiliates. Shout out to WBOK 1230 AM out in New Orleans, where you can listen into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And then we're going to head over to the Metro Atlanta area to WDJY 99.1 FM. Weeknights, you can listen to the Arrington Gavin Show at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then lastly, our fam out in the Las Vegas area, KSHP 1400 AM or 107.1 FM. You can listen in Fridays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. So again, on your way to get lucky, maybe in the casino. Hey, if hopefully you're listening to us before you get lucky and win big. And all I ask is that, hey, don't, remember me. All I'm saying is just buy me a couple bucks. That's all. I'm not greedy. I'm not stingy. But again, my friends, I want to thank our partners on those markets that I just mentioned. Also, you can listen to past episodes of the Arrington Gavin Show on the GOATverse TV app. That's right, the GOATverse TV app. You can download it. It's free on the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, or Amazon Fire TV. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Oh, yeah. We are continuing to grow our YouTube channel. So if you have not done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up on this video that you happen to be watching right now. Share with your friends, share with family. We have a goal to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And we just want to help push out great conversation. Look, I've said it time and time again. I don't consider myself an expert. I bring on the experts to the show so we can help provide knowledge for folks that, they kind of walk away from, learning about politics or just issues that happens on a local level, state level, even federal level. But it's important, y'all. It's extremely important. And we hope to bring you those great conversations and not just political, related conversations. We bring folks that are doing great things in the community. We bring, pro athletes, entertainers, you name it. Folks with amazing stories is where the conversation happens here on the Arrington Gavin Show. So again, if you can do me a favor, follow us or subscribe to our channel and follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Substack. Where else are we on? And check out our website, www.theagshow.com. So I think I've mentioned everything. I think I have. Yes, I did. So I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I just want to let you guys know, finally, my wife pushed me into seeing this newest Devil Wears Prada movie, right? I never heard of the first one, to be honest. I was not planning on seeing it, but happy wife, happy life. I got to make sure I satisfy her, and we went out. We had a great time, and it was a great movie. She had me watch the very first one first, and I'm like, okay, this is a pretty good movie. I knew Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway, like they're great at their job. So I'm like, okay, let me check this out. Okay, pretty cool. Took place in New York. You know how much I love New York. I have family out there. I'm actually rocking my Knicks attire right now because we're doing pretty good in the playoffs. And so I watched the first one, then went on to watch the second one, and it was good. So I was very satisfied. Overall grade, I'll give it between a B+ to an A-. You really got to wow me to get A+. You really, really, really got to wow me. But again, they had a great cast, great storyline. They had some guest features in there. I think Carl Anthony Towns had a quick cameo in there as well. So it was good. It was solid. So we've been on a roll seeing some great films because I used to be a strong critic of just movies in general, just movie theaters. Like I'm like, I feel like directors, writers, they're trying to recycle the same stuff. Like they're about to make Fast and Furious, 15,000th one and stuff like that. Like I get tired. I get really, exhausted seeing these films. So, but it was pretty good. The Michael film was awesome. And I think they're in talks of making a second one. And then you got Devil Wears Prada. I hope they just keep it as 2. Please, do not, make Devil Wears Prada 5. Stop at between 2 and 3 for all films. I think it's pretty good. Just my honest opinion. All right, my friends. Well, look, I've talked your ear enough. Let me go ahead and take a quick commercial break. Do not go anywhere. Do not change that dial. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. Be right back after these commercial breaks.
Every man has a story to tell. Your ambitions, your achievements, your legacy. Your suit should reflect that story. Crafted precisely, designed for impact, and tailored exclusively for you. We work with only the finest fabrics, luxurious wools, silk, linen, and blends from world-renowned mills in Italy, the UK, and India. These fabrics are the foundation of custom suits that exude elegance and stand the test of time. But a suit isn't just about fabric, it's about fit, and it's about confidence, and it all starts with you. When you work with me, you'll receive a personalized consultation, whether in person or over Zoom. Together, we'll explore your vision and discuss your needs. and we're going to bring your ideas to life. My journey as a designer includes apprenticing under New York-based designer Clavon Leonard, showcasing collections at New York Fashion Week, Algeria Fashion Week, and the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. That experience is what we bring to every suit we create, from weddings to corporate events and everything in between. We specialize in crafting one-of-a-kind suits for life's most significant moments. Dapper Luke has been recognized as one of Baltimore's best menswear in 2023, and I was honored to be one of the 10 designers selected for the prestigious Baltimore Met Gala. With over 900 satisfied clients, we proudly serve Virginia Beach and Baltimore, bringing world-class designs to these incredible communities. We don't just make suits, we craft confidence. Your suit will fit your body, your style, and it will tell your story. Book your free online personal consultation today. Visit www.dapperluke.com.
6'10", number 1 pick, 16 seasons, College Player of the Year, All-Rookie Standout. Joe Smith built a career on grit, consistency, and showing up.
Greatness isn't just about the game. It's about how you show up every day. Rugged Evolution now offers body care products for every man, because not every man wears a beard, but every man deserves care. Greatness doesn't fade.
It evolved. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Every beard deserves to be legendary, and every man deserves care. All right, family. Thank you for sticking with us here on the show. As I mentioned, we have a special guest on tap for you all, actually waiting patiently behind the scenes there. We're going to bring him on. Mr. Kyle Gauck. He is the Democratic candidate running for Connecticut's 2nd Congressional District. Let me go ahead and bring him on. Kyle, how you doing, my friend? Oh, you're mute. Your mic's. There we go. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
Man, look, if I complain, I'll be an ingrate. Look, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're extremely busy right now. It's a busy season for you. If you don't mind, for you're new to the show. If you don't mind sharing just a brief background about yourself to our audience.
Yeah, sure. So, all right. Well, I'll kind of give you the same pitch that I would give to delegates I was trying to win over, right? Mm-hmm. So, grew up ultra humble, right? Like below poverty line. Moved around a lot because we were evicted a lot. Jumped from school to school to school, and that taught me a lot, right? I'm not upset with that past, right? It actually framed a lot of the policies that we wrote, right? Because I've seen what hard work doesn't buy you, what it should buy you, right? And so, again, not upset with that past. It taught me a lot of lessons, and I brought those with me, mainly about community and helping other people. And I wanted to do bigger. I want to do better and bigger things. So I took that with me through high school. I ended up joining the Army, ended up in 5th Special Forces Group. I've got 80-something airborne operations. So if there's a plane or a helicopter in the military, I very likely jumped out of it before it landed. And 2 deployments. And then I got out, moved to New York City. Big fan of New York City. It's where I met my wife, finished my bachelor's degree. Then moved back to Connecticut, finished my master's degree, and spent the last decade working in the aerospace and defense industry.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your service, Kyle. And again, I'm like you. I'm a true fan of New York City. I always call it my second home. Even though I was born and raised in Virginia, all my family, my mother, all of them still have family out in the city. So no, I love New York. As I mentioned, well, as you also mentioned, I mean, your husband, father, veteran, and an aerospace worker. What made you finally say I'm running for Congress? Because that's a huge step. Like, and I guess to kind of a 2-part question, why skip over local and go straight to federal?
So we'll start with the first one. So it's simple enough. I've never done anything small in my life. I don't come from a military family. And so when I was like, I'm gonna join the Army, my mom was like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. My dad was like, are you crazy? And I was like, but we'll find out.
Dad, jeez.
Right. So I walked into the Army recruiting office and I was like, hey man, I want to join the Army. And he's like, okay, cool. What do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about the military. I was like, what's the coolest thing you guys do? And he goes, well, you can jump out of planes. And I said, all right, I'll do that. Right. And so it's day one, I signed a contract to go jump out of planes. And then I ended up getting recruited into group. And that's when I ended up in the Special Forces Group. So it was I never do anything small. I'm kind of the guy that's like full volume all the time. or no volume. So either I'm sleeping or I have to be doing something progressive.
Gotcha.
You know, I reorganizing my we were talking about earlier, my office is moving from one side of my house to the other, and even during that time where like I'm moving things, and you know, I have to have headphones in where I'm learning something. Like I always have to be. So I'm full volume all the time. But to answer the first question, you know, being a veteran, you can't avoid it. I've lost friends to the Iraq War. I've had friends that came back half of themselves, right, physically and mentally. I've had friends that lost the 22 a day battle. In fact, the best man at my wedding, my best friend, he's no longer with us, right? Wow. And it's all in the name of what, right? Democracy. And that's just an idea, right? We can take it and we can just throw it away and do whatever we want, or we can fight for it. But at the end of the day, it's an idea that we all have to believe in and we have to fight towards if we want to keep it. And so I can remember where I was on January 6, 2021. I can remember exactly what happened and watching that unfold. I can remember all of my MAGA Republican friends that I've argued with over and over again. I said, did you watch Donald Trump's speech leading up to the riot at the Capitol? Well, no, I didn't watch it. And well, I did. I watched it live. And at the end of it, he says, I will march with you. Let's go take our country back by force if necessary. And they're like, well, he didn't say that. I'm like, go watch it. It's on YouTube. I don't have to explain this to you. And so like, to me, having friends that have died for the name of this idea of democracy, having friends that didn't survive in one shape or another, having friends that have given part of themselves mentally and physically for this idea, for one man to just try to throw it away, right? That hurt. That was kind of step one where, okay, I've been climbing the corporate ladder, but I need to do something different. I need to help. I need to be part of the solution here. And then fast forward to 2024 and the election, and I'm a huge Kamala Harris fan, and I'm like, this is over. We won hands down, no question. Yeah. And then that face comes, right? Because I can remember it was like 4:00 in the morning, and my wife and I had fallen asleep with CNN on the TV. And it's like 4:00 in the morning. I woke up and they had called the race for Donald Trump. And I was like, I have to do something. And so I didn't know what to do. So I jumped on and started yelling at people on the internet, like making videos, yelling at people on the internet. Cause like, what else do I do? Right. I don't know what to do. I'm kind of,
you can jump out of plane again. I mean, you've done it. So now I'm joking.
I could, but I don't know if it's going to help anybody this time.
Exactly. Very true.
So my world's kind of in chaos. And so what do you do when you're in chaos? Right.
Yeah.
Well, in the military, they teach you to look at your leadership. Right. Well, me as a civilian here, what's my leadership? My leadership are those who are fighting for me in Congress. Right. So I look at my leadership as Joe Courtney, and I'm like, this he is not doing what he should be doing.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like his voting record. And I said, you know what? I'm not just going to sit here and complain about it. I'm going to do something about it. And so that's when I decided to jump in. So that's kind of when I decided to run for Congress. Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, I asked the second question of, and I'm sorry, I might hear a little echo. Is that okay? Skipping over a local. There we go. Skipping over a local. Now I understand. Obviously, you mentioned a lot, and I know it's kind of a corny question to ask, but again, I always look at experience. If I'm going to seek someone's approval, I can vote for them. Let me look at their track record, right? Okay, veteran bet. So obviously, served in the community. So that's one big factor. But then folks will always say, well, let me see if they, served in some form or fashion, politically. Because the one thing I can always criticize, especially, and I'm like you. I mean, the night of that election, I wasn't even like numb. I was like, and I can't say the word right now because I try to keep it like PG-13 is, but like, what the F, like really, like just because I was already a critic prior of Trump before politics personally. I mean, when he went down the golden escalators, I'm like, no way in hell. And then of course he wins the first one, and I'm like, okay, now he wins the second one. And like you had said about the J6 the event, my sister actually worked across the street from where that happened, and it was extremely scary because I'm thinking I'm watching Olympus has fallen or White House down. I'm like, oh, this is live. Okay. And so when I do talk with my friends, conservative friends that are supporters of this man, they watch what they want to watch, right? They always ignore when factual stuff comes out and keeps them. And that there's folks that have kind of took back their vote for him and say, okay, I see the issues, but it's like, hey, too late now. But why skip over local or even, you know, state? Like you went straight to federal. Why skip over that and say, okay, this is where I need to be, instead of starting, you know, getting my feet wet first and then working my way up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but the real answer is get my feet wet with what, right? Because there is no prior experience required for this job. I mean, sure, you should have experience in X, Y, and Z, right? But what is X, Y, and Z? Define that, right? Why is it local? Why is it state, then federal, right? And the bigger question, or the bigger point here, is that there's a machine that's in place already, right? There's gears that turn, and the corporations provide the lube for those gears. And I didn't want to be a part of that, right? I don't want to grow up in a system and just perpetuate a system that's constantly hurting American citizens. I've had enough of that. And I'm pretty sure you and everybody else in America has as well. And so I'm not trying to be a part of that same system. I'm trying to be a cog in that machine, right? I'm not a cog. I'm trying to be a wrench in the machine, right? I'm trying to jam up those gears and say, hey, no, we need to go in a different direction. So by going local, all I would be doing is perpetuating that system, right? I'd be learning the system. I'd be getting donations from mega donors and corporations, right? Just to climb the ladder and the ranks. And I don't believe in that, right? I believe that is part of the problem that we have in this country, and it needs to be solved. And then the last thing I'll say on it is, and I get this question a lot, so it's totally fair. The last thing I'll say on it is that, you know, inexperience doesn't equal incompetence, and people like to associate the two, but they're not related, right? I have experience leading multi-$100 million businesses on behalf of corporations. I have experience running teams of 60 plus people. I have experience starting greenfield projects from absolutely nothing. I mean, hell, you could take my campaign as an experience. We have a 17-person, almost full-time staff, 100% volunteer, all built by me from nothing. Right. That is incredible. That is unheard of. And so, like, I have experience doing these things. I have experience negotiating, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of contracts with the Pentagon, with the DOD, with 4-star generals. I have experience trying to get people to do things I want them to do that they don't want to do. I have experience running supply chains across the entire globe. Right. So I have all these experiences that are really good and really fundamental to running a proper organization and negotiating on behalf of what I want. What other experience do I need? Why do I have to go and argue at a local town, which I do, but why do I have to go and be elected to argue at a local town budget meeting?
Gotcha.
I do that anyway, right? So why do I need the experience? I'm also, I do give a shit, I do care about my community, right? I do things like leverage my social platforms, right? To raise money for the local food banks in my district, right? We do things like I raise money for Homes for Heroes and run 5Ks and make sure the social platforms is helping donate to that, right? So we do a lot of things around the community. So the experience is there. And I just want to be clear to people that the lack of experience of literally legislating does not mean it's a lack of incompetence.
I like, out of all the candidates I've spoken with, Kyle, that is by far for me one. I'm done well over 600 shows. That was one of the sharpest. Like, I just want to, give you your props, because that was a first. That was the first I've heard someone explain the two in that respect. So I appreciate that response. One thing I've noticed is we're seeing a lot of new voices, new challengers, challenging incumbents, challenging long-standing elected leaders, which is a great thing, because as I spoken earlier in the show, I'm extremely sick and tired of seeing career politicians that are either, and I hate to say it like this, but I mean, since January that I'm aware of, Congress has lost 5 members that have passed away. But all of them were out of age, or it's like, okay, why even run for re-election if you knew? And it's a lot. It really is a lot. And I know recently there was and I'm not going to go too much into this, but there was a DNC autopsy report that just went out, and a lot of folks are irritated because they're like, okay, why wasn't this shared? And so I can go on, but I want to ask you this. You can describe yourself as an outsider candidate, right? Newcomer, outsider. Do you think today's Democratic Party has become too comfortable with establishment politics?
100%. 100%.
If you don't mind expanding a little bit in that.
Yeah, we did the we did the Democratic convention, right? The congressional convention for my district. And what it was a Joe Courtney superfan festival is what it was, right? Which is insane to me. This guy's not a celebrity. He's your legislator. Not only is he not a celebrity and your legislator, he's not even legislating on your behalf and you're cheering for him like a bunch of fangirls. It's insane to me. Insane. And like I'll go too deep into it, but unless you want to in a little bit here, but we peeled off for good reason. We peeled off 10% of the delegation as a complete outsider, right? Right. Because people are starting to see the writing on the wall. And I can't speak for other candidates and other Congress people outside of my district. I mean, I have an idea of why, and I can kind of see what the voting pattern is of other Congress members. But I can tell you mine, for example, voted for a day of remembrance of Charlie Kirk. That's a huge red flag to me, right? But that's on the Democratic side. So what is he doing that's establishment based? Well, there's a bill that was going through Congress, something along the lines of Make the Polluters Pay Act, something similar to that. But basically what it did was it forced companies that pollute more than 1 billion metric tons a year into our environment. That's a lot. It's a big number.
That's extremely large number.
Pollute more than 1 billion metric tons a year to our carbon footprint, pay a penalty for it, and that those funds from that penalty goes to disproportionately affected areas, right? Not to mention my district would be one of those areas because rural areas are really affected by climate change, especially farming areas. And that's my district. But my representative voted against that bill. Why would he do that? That makes no sense. Oh, wait, that's right. Because it would have impacted the corporations that sponsor his reelection campaigns, right? So you can see where the establishment is protecting itself over and over and over again to the detriment of its own people, right? And again, we want to be the wrench in that machine. We want to stop this from happening.
You kind of answered my next question because we mentioned your current serving Congressman Joe Courtney, who has been in that position for nearly 2 decades. And my question was going to be, what specifically do you believe he has failed to deliver to the people? So you mentioned one. Is there more that you can, not trying to make it like, hey, tackle the incumbent, but you have to. I mean, again, you're running for a reason, and it's what are some of the issues happening in your district that at least that let me be in office, we have to take care of this. And I've heard from residents that about I see we have a special guest. Hey,
I don't know, bud. Can you give me just a minute? Go find mommy. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I love special guests. Only on the Arrington Gavin Show, ladies and gents, do you have a secret surprise. So I appreciate it. But yeah, if you can name some more issues happening in your district. Again, another reason why you said, hey, look, let me take the leap of faith and run and hopefully unseat our current elected official.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for days. We won't do that, but I mean, obviously, I'm running, right? And so, it's not. This isn't a smear Courtney campaign because this is an institutional problem, right?
Very
that we
true.
need to solve. But we have things like we have food deserts, right? Which is the new political way of saying people that are going hungry, right? People that don't have enough money for food or enough food to feed their families. They're called food deserts. And we have those in my district, all over my district, in fact. And there was a food desert bill that went through the House that he voted against, right? And that's huge. There was another climate change bill. It was part of the Green New Deal, and it would make, agriculture more sustainable, zero emissions cars on the road by 2035, and, a bunch of other stuff that would have been really, really good for the country and the world as a whole and the earth. And he voted against that too. And again, climate change disproportionately affects areas like mine that are rural. So it's a big deal. And he just keeps ignoring it. And then you go to I guess what you would say the political side, but to me, what is the moral side, right? He voted against the impeachment articles of Donald Trump, or he voted to table them, right? The impeachment article of Donald Trump. He voted for a pro-ICE resolution, right? That's a big red flag. He, he didn't co-sponsor the impeachment articles of Kristi Noem even after Renee Good and Alex Preddy were murdered, until there was a giant pressure campaign within the district, and then 3 weeks later he signed on to them. So it's like, but for me, the thing I tell everybody when I'm meeting with them is, I want you to know who I am. I want you to know who I am morally, because that's how I'm going to vote every single time. And Arrington can't be on the floor with me being like, hey man, I don't like this. I want you to vote this way, or I like that one, vote that way, right? You can't do that. And so you have to trust me to vote in your best interest every single time. And so therefore, I want you to know me. I want you to know who I am personally and morally, so you know whether or not I'm going. You don't have to second guess whether or not I'm going to vote in the interest of a corporation or you. You'll just know.
I want to talk more in regards to your campaign, but before that, I know it has been a challenge, an uphill battle, as I mentioned earlier, being an outsider of some sort, to running for office. Have you run into any, again, being that there is very much such thing as the establishment, have you ran into issues during your journey so far as a candidate that has almost to the point where, like, are y'all trying to like just be, just give somebody the baton instead of actually having a competitive primary? Has that happened to you?
Oh, it's happened exactly. That has happened to me. So we'll go back to the convention. So we talked about how we did the congressional convention. That was 2 Mondays ago. So basically the way it works in Connecticut is you have to peel off 15% of the delegation in order to get on the ballot. Never happened in the history of Connecticut since the Mayflower hit Plymouth Rock. It's never happened.
Okay.
And so it's a big deal that I was trying to do that. And especially as an outsider, right? I came into this, like I said, I built this campaign from scratch, and that is not a fallacy. I came into this without a single relationship or friendship from anybody political whatsoever in the political sphere of this district or this state whatsoever. I had to build all my friendships from scratch, and all my relationships from scratch. And so ultimately I ended up peeling off 10% of the delegation. But what had happened was, when we were at convention, this is only what we caught, right? And rectified at convention. When we were there, we had caught some chairs that were switching votes from me over to Joe Courtney. Right.
Whoa, timeout. So there's okay. That's very, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm like, hold on.
You're good.
It just hit me right there. Like, wait a minute. They're switching votes.
That's the reaction we should be having, right? Yeah. So we had a delegate who raised their hand and was like, whoa. How did my entire town vote for Joe Courtney? I'm a delegate for that town and I voted for Kyle, right? And then I also know others that voted for Kyle. So how did our entire town vote for Joe Courtney? That doesn't check out. So we had the parliamentarian call the entire town up and double check all the votes. And, sure as heck, they had to switch some votes back to me. Super shady, right? Take it further. Another chair had voted for somebody who didn't exist. So I don't know what you call voter fraud, but I'm pretty sure the Republican Party defines voter fraud as voting for people who are dead. Right. This person voted for somebody who didn't exist in the name of Joe Courtney. So casted a vote for Joe Courtney for a delegate that wasn't there and did not have a what's the word I'm looking for? Someone that stands in.
Have somebody speak for them, like
a proxy.
Proxy.
Yeah, a proxy. So they didn't file the paperwork. They didn't have a proxy and they weren't there. But yet somehow they casted a vote for Joe Courtney. We caught this at convention, by the way. Had to run that vote back. Right. So and then they call the votes out, they tally them up. We got 10% of the vote. You get a 10-minute period to switch votes, right? 10 minutes to go try to convince everybody and anybody you can to switch to your side. While I'm doing that, I'm getting pulled aside by delegates being like, hey man, listen, I signed up to become a delegate just because of you. I've been following the campaign. I'm here because of you. I got involved in politics because of you. And my chair literally threatened that I will never be able to be a delegate again in my life if I don't vote for Joe Courtney. So I had to switch my vote to Joe Courtney.
That really frustrates me, man, because your story is not a new story, sadly to say. I mean, there's folks that are probably going through that exact same, issue happening in other states. And that's the unfortunate factor happening in our climate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. But you're right. And that's my point, right? I want to shed light on this, as much light as, and I have, I have like 300,000 followers between all socials, and we
Mhm.
haven't launched a story yet. So you're getting the exclusive right now. But we have a couple of news articles that are about to come out about this.
Mhm.
And we're going to do a major push on all of our socials, because this is what people say. They're disenfranchised by the political parties.
Mhm.
People say that, oh, my vote doesn't really count. Why should I vote? It doesn't really matter. And the argument is, no, every vote counts. Every vote matters. But that argument is bullshit, because
Mhm.
it doesn't count. We just proved it. And now that I've been a part of that inside process, and I can see what has happened, and how the system works, and how it's built to protect those in power
Mhm.
and not allow outsiders in, right? I want to shed light on it, not as a conspiracy, as an actual fact, because I was there and I was part of it.
Man, just here, like again, this, and it frustrates me more, but hey, I gotta be a realist to the point where, hey, people do this stuff. This exists. This is not anything new. This didn't all of a sudden happen in 2026. It's sad to say that this is probably, been going on for quite some time, but it's unfortunate that you have to, go through that just because you are wanting to do good for your community. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people are trying to silence those that are helping those in need. And yeah. So let me talk in regards to your campaign, man. You supported universal health care. What does that realistically look like in Congress, especially when even Democrats disagree on how to get there?
So let me say this, and I'm still campaigning, for the record. The campaign's still going on, right? Just because we lost convention doesn't mean campaign's over. We still have a way to get on the ballot. And I say that specifically because not all Democrats want universal health care. They might publicly say they do, or you might just assume that they do, because Democrats should want that, but they don't. So in our campaign, we definitely have, universal healthcare high up on a pedestal. It's one of our, one question we get often is, Kyle, if you could have unlimited power, there was no regulation, no veto power from the president, and one person, you could do one thing, what would it be? And the answer is universal healthcare, because I think it solves a lot of problems we have in this country. But so, not all Democrats feel that way. And Joe Courtney specifically doesn't. My rep, he campaigned in 2006 and 2008. He campaigned on universal health care. And his campaign specifically was, I will not accept congressional health care until universal health care is a thing, right? Until we get it passed. And then it didn't pass. And then the ACA passed with Obamacare, right? And he goes, okay, that's good enough. I'll take congressional healthcare now, which is universal healthcare, basically, right? You can go anywhere at any time with no copays, and you have unlimited healthcare for you and your family, and for free. And so he takes that, right? Fast forward to 2026, and he's got his first challenger in 2 decades, me. And his response to our campaign, I should say, probably not from his mouth directly, from someone in his staff, but his response to our campaign was, that is a litmus test, or appears to be a litmus test for Democrats, and it is a bumper sticker policy that's nice to run on, but will never actually happen. And if that's your stance as a Democrat, what the hell are you doing in the Democrat Party? Go to the independent side, go to the Republican side. But what are you doing in our party? You don't belong here with that stance. Right. And so when I say that, there's a lot of Democrats out there in the House and the Senate that don't actually believe in it, because it doesn't serve the corporate interests of their donors. Right. It just doesn't. And, corporations want your healthcare tied to your job. Right. That's how they keep you enslaved to work over and over and over again. Right. Another big problem with not having universal healthcare is your healthcare is also tied to your relationship at times. So you'll see people who are beaten and battered in a relationship, and they can't leave, because then them and their kids don't have healthcare anymore.
That's very true.
Right.
That's very
but
true.
The spouse that's abusive carries the healthcare through their work, and the family needs healthcare. And it's insane that people can't get out of abusive relationships. And the same thing goes with employee-employer. You can't get out of an abusive employer, because what do you do? Like, I'm fortunate enough to be a veteran and to get universal health care through the VA. I have my kids have it. My wife has it. I'm fortunate in that way. We still have copays, but they're small comparatively, right? And I was able to leave my corporate career and go start my own business. And the reason I was able to do that was because I wasn't tied to my healthcare. My kids are still taken care of. I wasn't tied to my corporation. So, and then how do you do it, right? That's the big question everyone wants to ask. Well, first of all, you stop giving $40 billion to Argentina. You stop giving $50 billion to Israel, right? You stop funding some war in Iran that you don't have to fund, right? You don't give $1.776 billion to a bunch of insurrectionists. Instead, you get universal health care. You see my point? There is money for universal health care, and we just throw it away. We just throw it away to these other places and these other things. It just make those. You don't need a 400 million. I don't know how much he's at, 2 billion now for the ballroom. What's he asking for?
An insane. Look, you already. I blanked out when you mentioned about the J6 reparations. Basically, I mean, like that. I've been talking about that so much on my show because I'm like, I've yet to not recover the fact that he's literally paying with taxpayer money people that broke the flipping law. Like, and then you have an elected official saying it was staged. It was all staged. I'm like, this is this.
And like, we have, I'll have to explain this to you, I'm sure. We have people that we enslaved in this country. We have people that we have beat down for the last 50 years and said, no, you can't be educated the same as everybody else, right? No, you can't buy a house. No, you can't get a credit card the same as everybody else. And but insurrectionists and the Proud Boys, they get reparations? What?
Hey, they get reparations, and then what you said just before that, they're removing American history from school, so you won't have to know about all that stuff. So, again, that's what we see happening from this administration that is heading down to different red states in the area. I want to ask you also, Kyle, you support restoring tax deductions for union dues and worker expenses. Why do you believe that issue matters to working class voters?
I think it matters because unions matter, right? Unions don't get enough love. And like, oh my God, I cannot, the amount of unions that voted for Donald Trump and support Elon Musk,
it make the math ain't
like
math.
The number one union breaker. And I'm like, if I meet somebody in a union who told me, then people don't want to talk about it anymore. That's my favorite thing, by the way. I'm going to caveat this for 1 second. Segue this for 1 second. Tangent, however you want to say it. people that voted for Donald Trump, they used to be loud and proud. Now there's an Iran war and groceries are through the roof and gas is through the roof and everyone's mad and no one can afford anything. And now you say something about I don't talk politics. I don't want to talk politics. 6 months ago, you were like, Trump's my boy, MAGA. Now you don't talk politics? Right. Anyway,
America's back. Yes, America.
Right. America first, Israel first. Yeah. That's my
doing the damn dance and all that crap. It's a lot, man. But yeah.
So unions are important. Unions really are the backbone of this country. They're the reason you have a show. They're the reason I can work 40 hours and my boss can't lock me in a building against a fire code. They're the reason that I get to spend time with my family on the weekends. They're the reason you have healthcare provided for by your corporation at all, right? Which, again, a whole nother issue should be the government. But they're the reason we have all these benefits we have today. And it just drives me crazy, the amount of people that voted for Donald Trump that were in unions. The amount of people that supported Doge and Elon Musk that were in unions. Elon Musk is the biggest union breaker of all of them. If he even sees the embers of a union forming, he'll just go lay off an entire hundreds of people that want to form a union just to make sure he squashes it instantly, right? And so unions are huge. Unions protect the worker, not the corporation. That's their whole sole responsibility. And we believe in that very strongly, that there should be more unions and they should be given more power.
You've also spoken in regards to ICE. Now, one of your boldest positions is calling to melt ICE.
Yeah.
Melt ICE. What exactly does that mean in practice, Kyle?
So that means we get rid of them altogether. There was a world before ICE and there can be a world after ICE. And so we don't need them. We just like point blank, we don't need them. You've got Border Patrol that can do their job. right? So you got Border Patrol. Their job is to control the border. If somebody gets past the border and is a violent criminal committing violent offenses that we need to get rid of, right? Then you have Border Patrol work with local law enforcement in that area. It not only benefits the rest of the country, it benefits that local area. You don't need a paramilitary force. These guys, I made a video about this. These guys running around playing soldier have no idea what they're doing. I've seen them in their kits. I've seen their tactical movements. It's disgusting. They have no clue what they're doing. They have no training. And yet they're running around with very lethal weapons playing soldier for fun. We don't need that in our streets.
Well, I mean, they had, I didn't mean to cut you off, but they had a good inside person. Superman was, I believe, participated in it. What's his name? Dean Cain, who's the old super. He was supposed to be a member of ICE, and he was showing all the, hey, we're official here. You see the badge, you see this, and it's just like,
I didn't see that.
I'll make sure I send it to you. I'll make sure I send it to you. But I'm sorry, get to you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's good. So yeah, it's like we don't need paramilitary. So it's better for the local community anyway, because then you have a Border Patrol will work with local law enforcement who knows the community, who knows the area, right? Don't get me wrong. I mean, not every cop knows everybody in their town, but the cops know a lot of people in their towns. They know which areas are dangerous, which areas are not. You don't need to send in a SWAT tactical recon force everywhere you go. You just don't need to, right? That just scares people. And for what purpose, right? To intimidate? Like, this is America. We're supposed to have clean, safe, free streets. And we don't seem to have that with ICE. So in my opinion, there's no need for them. We get rid of them. We completely give them the boot completely. And not only do we give them the boot, right? We prosecute. We hold every one of them accountable that committed a felony or a misdemeanor. If you committed a crime as an ICE officer, I don't care that you were an ICE officer. I don't. Same as I don't care that Donald Trump was the president of the United States of America. The second we get to lock his ass up and throw him in jail, the second I'm the happiest man on this planet, right? And the same thing goes for every ICE. I'm trying so hard not to curse. The same thing goes for every ICE officer out there. Those ICE officers that murdered Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and there's so many others. There's other people out there. They just don't make
American citizens, by the way. American citizens.
American citizens. Yeah. They flat. You know what? They flat out murdered them, and they need to be held accountable to the highest standard of the law. Higher than you if you went out and did the same thing. Higher than you, because they are public facing with a badge, so supposed to be protecting, right? They need to be held accountable, and they need to be locked up. I don't care that they were an ICE agent. I was a soldier. Okay. I wore the same tactical vest they were wearing. I carried the same weapons, the same body armor. I wore the same camouflage. If I had done something illegal in the Army, my ass went to Leavenworth. It was the same thing. There's no reason because they're ICE that they should get no. Throw them in jail. We're going to prosecute every single one of them that broke the law. You broke the law. I don't care what you're a part of. If you broke the law, you're going to jail.
I want to move it on, Kyle. You mentioned, your service and you being a veteran. You've put veteran issues at the center of your campaign. Now, what do you think Washington still gets wrong when it comes to veteran care?
Everything, if I'm being honest with you. So we have the VA, which is universal healthcare, which is phenomenal healthcare when it's funded and staffed, right? The problem is every time we get a strong Republican administration, when they own part of the House or they own majority of the House or majority of the Senate, and they also have the presidency, they seem to defund and destaff the VA. Right. And then everyone complains the VA is terrible. The VA is terrible. The VA is terrible. And then Democrats get back in office and they fund it and they staff it. And then the VA is great again. It's this amazing piece of machinery that works fantastic. Right. Or phenomenally. And so that's, we don't do enough for our veterans. One of our big veteran policies is to take the pay that disabled veterans get and match it with congressional pay. So if you're 100% disabled, permanently disabled through the VA, right, through service-connected disabilities, you will get the same pay as Congress members. Because in my mind, there's no Congress member that's doing a bigger service to our country than you did. None. So why should they be paid a whole lot more? Not even like a small amount more. Not even like they get paid a lot more. They get paid like, I don't know, 6 times what a 100% disabled veteran gets paid. And that's insane to me. Yeah. And so that's one of our big policies, is to match the pay. So if Congress gets a raise, our disabled veterans get a raise. We also don't do enough for veterans throughout the country as a whole, right? We have a very large statistic of veterans that pass away each year or get worse mentally or physically because they miss VA appointments. And they miss VA appointments because they don't have a way to get to the VA hospital. So VA hospitals, especially for rural areas like mine, they're very, very far away. And so, like, there's this fantastic gentleman that stands outside the Dunkin' Donuts in my town and collects cash donations to get veterans rides to their appointments. So what we would do is we would fund an Uber style system inside the VA app. So, you know, an hour before your appointment, you go in the app, say, I'm ready, call a ride. The VA sends a car and picks you up, right? The car brings you back to the VA, brings you back from your appointment, right? And that's all funded through the VA. So we no longer have veterans that are dying, right? Or becoming a lot worse mentally or physically, health-wise, because they're missing appointments. The other thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're getting broadband out to rural areas. And when people say, what does that have to do with veterans? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with veterans, right? We want to put in telehealth booths in local, like town halls and libraries, right? In small rural towns, because veterans would do a lot better, right, when they can get point of service right in their town. They don't have to travel an hour to go see the VA. They can just speak to their doctor. And that also will help improve with mental health crises. You have a doctor right there on site in your local town hall. You just go into your private little booth where no one can hear you. You meet with the doctor right away. Point of service is right there, right when you need it, right? And that also helps when we transition the country into universal healthcare, because now you have point of service healthcare right in these booths, right in everybody's town as well, which helps prevent ERs and regular doctor's offices from being overwhelmed, right? And people having long wait times. So there's a lot of benefits there, but those are some of the things we want to do on the veteran side.
All right. Let me look at my time here. You've also supported a ban in Congress from stock trading, or from trading stocks. Now, should that also extend to family members, spouses, children?
Oh yeah, so our detailed policy, it might not be on the website, but the detailed policy extends to the executive branch as well, not to mention immediate family members, staff, and their immediate family members. And it's not trading stocks as a whole. So you can't buy, let's say you can't sit on like a missile and power board and then buy Raytheon stock, right? That's illegal. That's what will make it legal. You can, however, buy the S&P 500 if you want to invest in your future and invest in the future of America as a whole, because the S&P 500 covers the top 500 companies in the country. And so if you want to invest in America as a whole, in our economy, by all means, I'm all up for that, right? But you can't go invest in Raytheon and then sit on a board that's going to issue Raytheon contracts. That's insane. And that's what we're aiming at banning. And then I love, like, I don't know if you saw Mike Johnson came out like a week ago, and he's like, well, you know, these guys got to make a living, as they make $184,000 a year, while the average income per person upper house is like 43,000 or something like that. And fact check that, it might be higher or lower, but Mike Johnson's 184K a year. These guys got to make a living, you know what? Come on now.
Mike Johnson, you know, you're talking about how you're trying to keep it, you know, stay censored throughout the show. Don't even bring up that name on the show for me, because I'm just like, bro, the hypocrisy, the circus that we witness on a regular, it's a lot, man. It really is. I think I want to ask you this. If elected, as you mentioned, you still have to go through the primary first, but say if elected, what are some of your, you know, major initiatives or issues that you want to tackle down right when you you're right there in the chambers, you sit down in your chair, you're like, this is what we have to do first and foremost before I get going with all the other things I want to do, or just rank them if you don't mind. Just rank them, you know, from 1 to however many you want to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, we hit my top ones that I care the most about. But if we ranked them again, universal healthcare would be first. I think we could get a lot of people out of poverty. We could make our country healthy, like actually healthy. You know, people don't have to stress about going to the doctor or paying for food on the table, right? They don't. 50% of bankruptcies roughly in this country are due to medical debt.
Yep.
How insane is that, right?
Yep.
People losing their houses, people losing their cars, their transportation to and from work, right? It's just insane. So first and foremost would be universal healthcare. I think that helps everybody as a whole. We also believe that the federal government needs to partner with K through 12 a lot more efficiently, and so education would be big. We want to make sure we're including pre-K in that. So we want to pay for pre-K through bachelor's degree. How can we say we're the beacon on the hill when we don't even educate our own citizens, right? And then, veterans policies would also be right up there at the top. We'd be fighting for our veterans policies. We would be fighting for term limits. We believe that people should be rotating in and out of Congress, not every 2 years, but our policy is 12 years on each side. So 6 houses, six terms in the House, 2 terms in the Senate. But we believe that rotation is what feeds not just a progressive agenda, but a let's move the country forward and legislate based on the times of today agenda, right? So, and I'll give you a really good example really quickly. So when you've got the 119th Congress, right, has had 2 decades to regulate the social media industry, and they've not done it, not once, right? They call them the CEOs and they slap them on the wrist and they say, that's bad, don't do that. And that's it. How can we expect them to legislate the problems of today, like AI? We can't, they won't, right? And they're paid for by the AI industry, right? And so we believe that term limits are very important. We also believe banning private stock trading is very important. That's just another way that they're getting over on the American people, and the American people are suffering every day. So those are our major policies.
Kyle, real quick, we have about 60 seconds. Why should folks vote for Kyle Gauck to serve in the Connecticut 2nd Congressional District? Why should folks vote for you?
I'm be real, because I care. I actually care. And you can see that in the policies we write. You can see that in the fact that I show up to the protests. I show up every single day and I meet with people, and I don't pitch to them what I want to do. I listen to them what they want me to do, right? And that's the most important part. You can also go to fec.gov. You can check out our filings. We've never collected a dime from a PAC, not a corporate PAC, not the Israeli PAC, not the AI industry. We haven't collected a single dime from a PAC, and we won't. We absolutely refuse to. This is grassroots funded because we care about you and we want to represent you and you only.
And Kyle, for those who are that are listening, because those who are watching obviously can see I just put up your website. Can you share, with the folks, how can they continue to stay connected with you in your site and all that good stuff for those who are listening?
Yeah, so go to KyleGauck.com, Gauck. You can also Google me. Fun fact, I'm the only Kyle Gauck in the entire world. So if you Google me, no one else will come up.
Lucky.
All of that is about me, good or bad. But yeah, go to KyleGauck.com. There's a get involved button. You can do that. You can sign up to volunteer. You can donate. The donations obviously help. We don't take corporate money, so we do use that money to raise awareness throughout the district. And then you can also stay connected by signing up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every Thursday. Outside of that, you can also contact us. I do try to respond to every email that comes through the website.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, look, don't go anywhere. I would love to chop it up with you just for a couple seconds, for a couple minutes after this program. But again, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Best of luck on your campaign, man. Look, if you were in Virginia, you'll make it a little easier for me, man. I'm telling you, we got a congressional race happening. I think we need some assistance there. But again, I appreciate you, my friend, and like I said, best of luck on your campaign.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Friends, family, I hope you enjoyed yet another great convo here on the Arrington Gavin Show. I told you it was going to be good. It's just the issues. The sad thing is when you have folks like Kyle that is saying, hey, look, I see this issue happening in my backyard. I see this issue happening really statewide. Something has to be done. It's sad that you have the establishment trying to prevent somebody from running, somebody that's trying to do good. It's unfortunate, but that exists in our world. As always, my friends, thank you so much for sticking with us. Look, stay safe, stay blessed, stay informed. Please stay informed. I will talk to y'all soon for another great combo here in the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm out.
That's it for tonight on the Arrington Gavin Show. Thanks for tapping in and keeping the conversation alive. Don't forget, stay connected with us on all platforms. Follow at Arrington Gavin on Instagram, Blue Sky, and X, and subscribe to the official Substack for exclusive takes and deep dives you won't get anywhere else. We're here every weeknight, same time, same energy, same real talk. Until next time, stay bold, stay sharp, and stay true. That's what we do on the Arrington Gavin Show. Peace.